I want to grow up, be president, be royalty, be doctors. I'm just about ready.
Thanks all for coming to tonight. It's a night of live electronic music, techno mainly, and some other acts as well by New Zealand artists. And we have Honeysmack here from Australia, Melbourne. So, he's going to start off with giving a little bit of a demo on the Digitakt 2, the new release from Elektron. And then we're going to kick the night off with some music. Yeah, we got Sliced Up, we got Arox, we have Sentiment Being, we have Press Hold, and we have Slow Attack for you, which are all New Zealand artists, you know, mainly playing on Elektron music instruments. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to give the word to David.
Yep.
And off we go.
I don't use a microphone because I've got a big loud mouth already. So there's no use standing at the back of the room. You need to come really close. Digitakt 2, I've got some notes as well because I'm awesome, but I'm not that fucking awesome. So, I'm assuming everyone is familiar with the Digitakt already. Yeah. How many people have a Digitakt already? And where are we? Brisbane or Sydney?
It's Hamilton.
Sorry?
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Is that in New South Wales or? Overall, let's have a look at the front panel. One of the main things, if you're a Digitakt user, they now call sounds presets. And the reason why they call a preset, because you'll see here it's now a preset pool, not a sound pool. So the thinking behind that is that a sound is a sample with all the parameters associated with it. Right? Remember, the sample is the raw material of a sound, now a preset. So it means that you now have lots of presets. You'll get your head around it pretty quickly. But what it means is that you've got access to 1,024 presets per project as well. And don't forget that you can save a kit per sequence as well. And that's the best way to kind of manage your content. So on the front panel, is there any more light that we could have, please? Yeah, all the way up. Oh, perfect, great. So on the front panel, they've significantly, they've added what's called a modulation page. It used to be called LFO, but we know that an LFO has been one of the superpowers of Elektron devices. There was only 2 LFOs. There are now 3. And if we go to, it's now 3 pages because you've got 3 LFOs. And remember that even though an LFO is a low frequency oscillator, think of it as an invisible hand. It's something that would turn a knob and it does it for you. You just set the parameters as to when and how it does that. Modulation source. So modulation source is a much better term than just LFO because it can be an envelope generator, different types of modulation sources, and it means that Elektron have got more installed for us. We don't know what that is, but they're obviously going to update it as well.
Is that Digitakt's way of sidechaining using the LFO?
You can sidechain with an LFO, or you can sidechain with the compressor in there. And there's a neat little trick that no other box does that the Digitakt does, which you can assign what tracks go to the compressor. So which means that we're stepping forward ahead, aren't we? So if we go to compressor routing, you can't see that, but if you'll now see that I've got all of them selected, I can deselect any channel I want or select any channel I want to go to the compressor, which means normally you don't want your kick to go to the compressor, and that can be the source of the sidechain. But that's got nothing to do with an LFO, but an LFO can sidechain. You can also sidechain with parameter locking as well. This is the flexibility of Elektron devices. It's not just one way of doing it. And but this is a really cool feature of the compressor itself. And if we go to the compressor, you can now see that you've got you had the sidechain source here. That says track 1. we're going to use any track I want as well, right? And you've also got a sidechain filter as well. So sometimes you only want to sidechain and filter out, you know, the low end or the high end as well.
Without doing that, when you're playing and you're not sidechaining at all, it's just live, everything, no sidechain, unless you put it on, or does it automatically sidechain itself?
No, the compressor has to be on, and then the mix as well. Yeah. So it's a, you know, what you're asking has many different answers, right? That's right, and that's the superpower of Elektron devices in general, is because, you know, let's take a side step for a sec. What Elektron are fucking awesome at is moving people away from that thing. I don't know what they call it in New Zealand, but in Australia it looks like a television with a typewriter. What the fuck do they call it?
I think that's in for mobile phones eventually.
Computer? Is that what they call it?
Yes, it is.
No, a computer and a mouse, I think, is the most uncreative tool known to man, right? Sorry. I mean, if you want to sit in front of a screen with a mouse and do something, you need a mental fucking health plan, right? Rather than a creative device. So getting back to, let's get on point, David. What Elektron are really great at is that Elektron allows you to move away from the screen. And there's enough options and there's enough limitation, because we all know that limitation breeds great creative results. Having every option available. Now look, you know, in truth, we all know DAW computers are fantastic. But one of the challenges is that we are met with so many options that, you know, a lot of people are dumbfounded, are overwhelmed by all the options available. Elektron are great at listening to creatives and users and how they use things. You know? But it also, you know, it also interfaces and interacts with a DAW system as well. You know, as a controller, also transfer, overbridge. I mean, overbridge is coming for this. It's almost ready. So it's easy that if you are familiar with working in front of a screen, that these work really well. But it'll help you wean your way off the screen. You know? I have not used the computer to make music in, I'm showing my age here, in 35 years. Okay, my mum has a computer. She thinks it's awesome. There's this thing called electronic mail. I've heard of it, you know. But I don't use a computer to make music. It's a tape recorder for me, you know. Yes, of course I use a computer, you know. Get with the humor. Okay, cool. Where were we? Is that it? All right. Of course. Okay, you know, that's hard to answer, because a sampler is just a digital recorder. So any sound that you can hear, you can put into a sampler, say the Digitakt, and you can process. And how you process it is based on the options that are available in the actual sampler itself, and then also post-production as well. So you're asking quite a complex question. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but there's well, there's filtering, there's volume. You know, there's absolutely. You know, and that's why, you know, before there were synthesizers, electronic musicians were using tape technology, and they were using pre-recorded tape and slicing it up. Musique concrète was just tape, you know, repurposed, and it wasn't until music technology and the technology was fast enough and cheap enough that we now take for granted that we can just record anything and grab anything from anywhere. It's only 10 years ago that we were still buying sample CDs, and, you know, that were really, really expensive, but now we have access to every sound imaginable. What we don't have access to, what other people don't have access to, is how you're hearing the world and how you're manipulating that sound and how you are putting your hands to it, you know. If you want to sound like artists X, Y, and Z, you can do that. There's this thing called YouTube, and everyone will tell you how to do that. But you know, as an artist, what are you trying to say about yourself and the world around you and your expression? And this is how we do it. That was a really long-winded answer for a rather complex question. I hope, does that help? Okay. So, you know, manipulating sound, there's a lot of options available to us.
No, I was thinking just that rough, like mixing, like to just make all sounds sit together. Because it's just my first experience with
This is an incredible tool that can do that, yes, but this is just one tool amongst a huge plethora of other technology.
I'm asking a global question, like if you use few synthesizers and samplers, I don't know, to make a tune, and then like can you use them just the way they are and just record them?
Of course you can, yes, yeah. Simple answer, yes.
Sit together, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
because that's just my experience. Hardware sounds so good that you don't often need
Because well, that's quite a process. How do they make a film? They don't just grab a phone and video something. There's a lot of processes. You can make a film with a phone, and it might be okay. You can buy one device and make and process sound, but you know the world of audio and music making is quite complex. It's not a simple answer. It's like cooking, you know. I use a lot of analogies when I teach about cooking, you know. You don't need a lot of ingredients. You know, the Italians are very good at it. You only need a couple of ingredients that are fresh and let the flavors come through it. You know? How I record my tracks. Thank you, Lance Harrison. Yeah, and as you'll see later tonight when I perform, I'm an improviser. So I do not, the way you know, my concept is, and having a PhD in all this, I see my studio as an instrument. Too often, music technology brands are selling things or they're marketing things as single instruments. That comes from old people making music on acoustic instruments, yeah? It's like, you know, the studio is an instrument and has been an instrument since post-war times, you know? So I don't see this as just being a synthesizer. This is a module amongst my whole, this is the whole instrument. And the mixer is just as important as the effects unit, as important as the sequencer, as the sounds, as the way the sounds are being processed. And I improvise, so I don't save anything. I literally just hit go and I look at people around me and what they're listening to, and I listen carefully to what is coming out. And I have no formal music training. I actually don't know any theory whatsoever. I don't respect music theory whatsoever, and I don't respect pitch. So in my studio, I have no fucking keyboards because I don't know what they do, right? And I've worked in the conservatory in Melbourne for many years, and having a PhD in music composition, I have seen the tears of people trying to get something right, like the F note and the chords, and it's just like, what are you fucking doing? There's this thing called computers, they've won, you know? It's stuff like this that can help with your creativity and your expression, you know? Technique is kind of, you know, a small part of music making, you know? It's craft, it's technique, and, you know, creativity or originality. Yeah, they're the three components. Of course, if you want to make pizza, you have to understand how the dough works and how the pizza oven works. But if you're in the kitchen, you have like really expensive knives and you can cut food and chop food amazingly, doesn't mean that you'll have an amazing meal, right? Because a meal is made up of lots of different things, not just the food, not just like the kitchen, the utensils, but also the atmosphere, the company as well. Yeah, I've gone off track.
Your process of how so you're running to the mixer, is that how you get past the mix down phase? Because you're saying you don't use too much computer?
I don't use a computer at all. Right. So I'm literally just recording 2-track out of my mixer, like left and right. You don't see any interface here at all. So if you don't come see me perform, Has my show really existed? I don't know. Are we really here? No, I'm joking. But what I'm saying is, when I perform, it's the same when I'm in my studio. It's just in my studio, I just have more options of other gear I can choose. Yeah, but always the gear is always changing. You know, and I'm not saving presets or patterns or anything like that. It's really just in the moment. And Elektron is a big part of that because of its physiology, its limitation. Remember, limitation breeds great creative results. It's really important. Geez, we've gone off on the track. You want to have a rest? Or
That's great.
We'll keep going. Okay, cool. So, look, personally, the first Digitakt, I was never really, it never piqued my interest because I had an Octatrack, which is another sampler, but because I didn't really use samples in that way. But now with the Digitakt 2, it really is like, dare I contradict myself, it really is an all-in-one box. You can create everything in this box. And if you can't, then you need a mental health plan, right? Because the thing that we can always do is buy something else. And you know, companies are very good at saying, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. We all know, right? My doctor says I need to buy way more, right? Here. But it's not true. Excuse me. But the actual processing power, the memory power, means that you can actually just be with this box, you know? And you can interface it as well with a larger setup, including a computer, of course. And that's what Elektron, you know, that's their superpower, one of their superpowers. So what we have with the, you want to hear the Digitakt, don't you? You know, it's enough of me fucking talking. Why did I turn it off? I don't know. I'm just gonna load the preset, like the actual default that comes with it. This is I'm gonna play you now. Oh, come on. Load project, that's what I wanted. Presets 2. No. Yes. Okay. So I'm just loading the default as the machine will come to you. It's already loaded with a shitload of stuff, okay? And I remember doing this a long time ago, teaching in a university, and someone said, where do the samples come from? Because in my era, we took it from records. We took it from tapes or CDs. Nowadays, you take it from fucking everywhere, you know, it doesn't matter. If you can hear it, and there's lots of people who, lots of companies who make sample packs as well. But make your own sounds. You know, you've all got a phone. You can all record, go outside and record shit, go out around your house and record stuff and re-synthesize those sounds inside. So here is something, and I've got some of the patterns that I really like. I need glasses, so I'm getting old. This is as the machine comes, right? I'm not touching it at all, right? Okay? There's no magic at all, right? Nothing up my sleeves. I've just changed the pattern. So this is all flat, right? You're just hearing this straight from here to the PA, yeah? Now, what the important thing here is with one of the things about the Digitakt 2 is that the Digitakt 1 only had a 64-step sequencer, and that has 128 because I'm making kind of washing machine music. It sounds like a hammer thrown into a washing machine. I know that the 128 puts this more into like almost like a quasi-song arrangement type, but it also has now its own song button as well, right?
Just ask you one thing. how does it deal with polyrhythms?
Polyrhythms, every single track can have its own length,
Okay.
okay? And it's as simple as, you know, track 1, right?
How does that play into start points, if you get my drift?
Well, you always have, you can tell it where you want it to rotate or where you
Okay.
want it to start. But if you hit stop twice, then it's going to reset as well.
Okay, so if I wanted to run like 17 against 15,
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. There's no limitation whatsoever. And I mean that sincerely. The limitation literally is yourself and finding your approach through these machines. No, I actually mean this sincerely because I've heard this for many years. Customers go into a shop, I want a machine that has, that can do this, 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 and this. Now, if there was a manufacturer that could provide you all those things, do you know what the customer's going to say? I need it in blue, yeah? Because it's not about having all those options that you think you need. It's actually finding your approach through the limitation of whatever you're buying. This box here was a commercial failure. The 303 was a commercial failure, okay, in the 80s. It is the guitar of electronic dance music, okay? And it has been replicated and cloned. There's been 2 hardware clones since its demise in the 80s. You do the math, there's about 100 clones now. Hardware clones, okay? There's these things called guitars and they're still making them and people are still making music with guitars. No one goes, guitar music, do they? No, exactly. Back to the show. What was it? It was, I don't want song mode on. I want, no. Stop, I don't want that on, see. No. I want to go bank, B, See, because I'm setting up to play fucking techno later, and what happened is that I've got this sunk to something else, so all those patterns are playing at the wrong tempo. Now they're the right tempo, okay? We're just listening to the Digitakt, by the way. That sounds awesome. If you don't like hip hop, doesn't matter. I mean, these patterns and these sounds, and you can see each pattern has a different kit. You can see this is 128 steps. Okay, so I'm going to load up my shit now, if you don't mind. Is that enough of the kind of, you know, what comes with it? Cool, thank you. I'll take your silence as a yes. So what we have is we now have a chorus. You've got the delay and reverb, but now you have a chorus, a bit crusher, a sample crusher, overdrive, and you've got an updated compressor as well to help glue everything together. If you don't know what a compressor is, it's this kind of magic processor that can kind of glue sounds together and make them kind of louder and lift the dynamic range. We don't have the time to go through a university degree to talk about compression right now. Even most engineers find it hard to explain it. But one of the major upgrades is filters. So if you don't understand what a filter is in a synthesizer or a sampler, it's basically shaping the timbre. Think of it as an EQ or tone control. And what, now I need to find a sound. Let's go with a big kick because it's always easy to hit up. So what we have now is we have multiple filters that are treated as machines. So in the Elektron paradigm, they call a machine is either a synthesis type, and now it is a filter type. So if I go to filter, I've now got, you can't see that very well, but now I've got 5 filters to choose from. So we've got the multi-mode filter, high and low pass. We've got the low pass, a DB24 shape as well. I can't go through all this because we just won't have time. An equalizer as well to sculpt, sounds very individually. And we have a comb filter. So a comb filter is a resonator that can completely transform sounds into something that you've never heard of in your life. Okay, and I'm going to play you something in a sec. And then we've got the legacy filter that came from the original Digitakt. Is it digital? Yes, it is. Do you know the difference between digital and analog? No, you fucking don't. I'm sorry, but these will make it sound amazing regardless, yeah? So if I will choose the comb filter here. You've got to be really careful. Going through a PA, I don't want to damage the PA before we perform. But it is, let me tell you, the comb filter is completely new to the Digitakt. There is a comb filter in the Octatrack, but it's completely different in the Digitakt. I actually think in the Digitakt it's even better. Cool. What else we got? We've got a Euclidean sequencer as well. So okay. I'll take a break. What's a Euclidean sequencer? Does anyone know? Cool. Funny thing about dance music is that, one of the criticisms is that it kind of repeats all the time. But if you're a music academic like me, you will know that repetition is part of progress as well. So Euclideus was, I think, a Greek mathematician. And what a Euclidean sequencer does is that it tries to fit a certain amount of hits within a space. So it doesn't sound like it's repeating. It has this organic way of moving around, even though you think it might be repeating. But it's a great way to, say, add subtle, perhaps randomization, but it's not randomization. Okay? You set the length of your sequence and the amount of hits. So say you've got a 7-step sequencer and you ask it to only play 3 hits, it tries to put those 3 hits into that 7-step sequence and continuously moves it slightly every time it rotates. Okay? Big thing if you're into modular synths, everyone knows this and loves it. Now they've got it on an Elektron device, which is pretty awesome. Where are we? So now we've also got, go for it.
Are you familiar with patterning?
Yes.
The way that it uses,
Yep.
you're stretching out rhythm points in a circle.
Yeah.
And you can have different.
Well,
is that Euclidean?
Yes, it is.
I thought it was. Okay,
So sometimes it's represented as a circle and points on a circle as well.
I've got a similar kind of. I'm not sure quite how you deal with start points again. Do you know what I mean?
But if you're trying to be prescriptive with a Euclidean sequencer, then you don't want a Euclidean sequencer. Okay.
You know
what I mean? So that was one of the big things that lots of nerds wanted.
Can you apply that after the fact, like you put a pattern and then apply it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can actually save it and turn it into a regular pattern as well, which is insane. So we've got 4 trig modes as well. Actually, Did you hear that long wobbly tail that you felt like, what the fuck is he doing? That was the effect of the comb filter, like kind of losing itself. And then I muted it and it tailed out, right? Now maybe I'm not going to win an award with doing that, but just shows you the power of it, right? And the happy accidents is what, you know, makes for great music making. Well, I think so. I'm just going to find a pattern here that everyone might like. Now, I'm rubbing my hands. Sorry, it's a bit creepy. I don't mean to be creepy. When you buy something like an Elektron box, my best advice is that you need to lose yourself in the box, find the happy accidents, do something that's not prescriptive. I know that we all want perhaps, you know, a beat that anchors, you know, a kick drum pattern that anchors our beat, whether it's down tempo, hip hop, techno, or anything in between. But one of the great things that, you know, and let's talk about MPCs. Everyone loves an MPC. They've got a great heritage and legacy. I come from using MPCs. I stopped using an MPC 20 odd years ago, and I grew up with the MPC 60 and 3000. Yes, I'm that old. I moisturize every day. I know.
What did you move to when you got off MPC?
Well, I started with an ASR10 with N-Sonic samplers, and I went to an MPC, shat myself, went and bought an N-Sonic sampler again. Then from MPC, I went to this thing called Octatrack. And I've written a paper which says that the Octatrack is the most important electronic music device in the 20th century. Convince me otherwise. I'm ready to fight. No. In the Digitakt 2, we now have what's called trig modes. Okay. So in the world of Elektron, a trigger is an event when something is being triggered. Now, normally we associate that with being a note, but it also can be an event. It can be also data for, you know, turning on an effect or, you know, parameter locking. We'll get to that in a sec. But what we have is we've got trig mode. So at the moment we're in track mode, which means that every track is just being, you know, I can just hit the track and you'll hear the sound that's associated with that track. Side note, with the big upgrade, which I forgot to mention at the start, the Digitakt is now 16 track and 16 track audio as well, interchangeable. On the original Digitakt, you had the first 8 was audio and the 8 to 16 was MIDI. Now they are all interchangeable. So any track can be MIDI, right? So you can control your DAW or other gear in your studio, or audio as well. So in trigger mode tracks, we're just literally triggering the tracks itself. Then we've got velocity. So as you can see, hopefully that's representing right, and if not, you can come closer. You've got across the trigs, it's getting brighter, which means it's getting louder because velocity is mapped automatically to volume. But velocity, take out your pens and papers please, velocity does not have to be mapped to just volume. It can be mapped to perhaps making an effect louder or softer, or opening a filter, or the amount of LFO as well. So now I can perform because the pads are not velocity sensitive, but they've now tricked us. The softest, loudest, and you can map up to 4 other parameters to velocity as well. Yeah, cool. Stay with me. Now we've got retrigs, MPC. Self-explanatory. Okay, so it's the retrigger amounts, and all of this is performable. So you can just play this in, record it, and it will record. I don't want to do it because I'm scared that I'm about to perform and then, but I think that makes sense, right? Then we've got preset pool. So go back to my original comment at the start, which was presets are now a sample with all the parameters, which is effects, filter settings, envelope settings. And now I can actually play different presets in one track. Does that make sense? So if we're in, so remember now, I can only play this sound in that track, but if I go to preset pool, I'm now playing up to 1,024 presets in the one track. Let me show you. This I'll have to show you. Okay, so let's find a, cool. Is there anything here? All right, it's a shitty little sound there, right? So let's go into preset pool, and I'm just going to hit record. We've only played one track. I've muted all the other tracks, yeah? All the other tracks are muted. So it means if you have a look, I'm now in record mode, that each one of these will have a different sound. Now, if that's not powerful, I don't know what is. Yeah? And I've only loaded, there's maybe 10 presets in there, and I've only just... Now, you can see how I was completely random there, which we can move on to parameter locking, because parameter locking, Elektron wrote the fucking rule book on parameter locking. What's parameter locking, I hear you ask Dr. David Bernard Haberfeld? Well, parameter locking means each step can hold up to 48 different parameters per step. Okay? So now parameter, I had really hot Dan noodle, you know, that Taiwanese noodle this morning for dinner. So I'm now feeling a little bit parched because I should have had a drink of water before I started this. Thank you, Lance. Can I get a water, please? Sorry. So parameter locking means that each step, just like you've seen here somewhat, can have a different effect, envelope, pitch. Yeah? Let me show you. Let's thank you, darling. Okay, I'm going to kind of undo this and do this. It's kind of a noise sound in there, yeah? But what parameter locking can do, I've got here, I'm open on the filter page. I just make sure that I'm in record mode. So at that point there, the filter is being cut. Does that make sense? And when it's inversed, you know that there's a parameter lock, but I can keep going on that particular. The one sound. So every step has a certain amount of different parameter locks whatsoever. You're not very happy with that sound, and I can understand why. Let's try something completely different. No, that's not good either, silly boy. Please hold. Here we go. So all those glitches are deliberate because I'm setting different parameters for every single step. Because I can't play keyboard, and I know that there's these C and D and E things in a weird language. And that's exactly how I make techno. 2 minutes. If it doesn't work, it's out the window. I know people who tell me, I've been working on a track for 2 years. And I'm like, I buy them a box of tissues and I send them to a doctor. You need a mental health plan, right? A piece of music does not take fucking 2 years to make. It takes, well, techno, let's say, it takes 2 seconds. And you know what I'll do? If you stick around until I play later, I'm going to keep that, okay? Right? And we'll see if it'll work with everything else. Yeah? Cool. Some of the great things, I better save this, yeah? Watch this. I've just saved it. That's how easy it is. Okay, moving right along, because how much more time have I got? Is there a timekeeper? 10 more minutes, great. Okay, a couple other things. So you can save, every pattern has its own kit, okay? Or every pattern can have the same kits as well. But there's a performance kit mode as well. So sometimes you want to play right? Or change the pattern. Okay, you can hear how it's a different pattern, different sounds and everything like that. But what I can do is I can put this into what's called performance kit mode, and that becomes solid yellow. And you can't see, oh, there's a P flashing there, which means I'm in performance kit mode, which means I can manipulate this kit, like perform with it, fuck it all up, right? And then reload it as I saved it, and it reloads it very musically, right? So we can do, I'll just show you that I'm going to change the pattern, but keep this, I'll change the pattern, but keep this kit, got it? So that was that other pattern. I'll reload the pattern that it should be. I'll do it the other way around. Oh, I didn't put it into performance kit mode, silly fool. Right, so here we are. Performance kit mode, it's flashing. David should know as the product specialist for Elektron, represented in Australasia. I should know that. Don't tell my boss. Same kit as what we just heard. That's fucking awesome, right? Someone who doesn't think it's awesome, okay, stick around and I'll show you how awesome it is at around 11 o'clock tonight. One of the other great things that comes from a lot of Elektron boxes is what's called control all, which means that here we've got 16 tracks of sounds and presets. I can go into a particular page, and whilst holding track down, I can twist the knob and it will change that parameter across every single track. Yeah? Has anyone heard of people like Aphex Twin? Yeah? This is the way you can do Aphex Twin shit, okay? It's very easy, and you can use it in conjunction with performance kit mode. So once you really manipulate and mess up a pattern and sound, you want to be able to go back to what you kind of had in a saved state. So let me show you. So it's changing the pitch of all the sounds at the same time. I'm big crashing everything. Now I can make a track out of that, but I can't do it right now because I'm trying to show you this feature. Are you inspired yet? Okay, good, I hope so. What else we got? I've done performance keyboard, promo filter, stretch. Okay, so one of the big things on the Digitakt 2 that the Digitakt one doesn't have is a stretch machine, which means you can put a sample in there and it will stretch to the length of your pattern or sequence automatically. This is a feature that we're probably take advantage of when we use a DAW, but now the processing power of the Digitakt means that you can do it in the Digitakt 2 without changing pitch, which is the most important thing. So let me find something that I've got. I don't know if that's the right pattern to do it for. That's not the right pattern either. I'm looking for something that has, here we go. Of course, you're going to get artifacts if you're trying to, solo, but you can do this really well. You know me, I like to experiment. I like to have things like that is really freaky. And that's what they call, is it drums and drums? Drums.
Have you ever gone into doing stuff with ambient breaks yourself?
Yes, of course. Right here, sir.
Mostly I've heard you do techno shit.
Well, yeah, but it's mainly techno shit is, that's all I have the brain capacity for. That's an overview of the Digitakt 2 as I see it, as they see it. There's also, so the front is a little bit different. Also, I've explained that the internal the internal storage is now 20 gigabytes and 400 per sample as well. And going through different samples is actually quite easy. So when you select this sample, and don't forget you can resample internally as well, which I'm not going to do at the moment, but I can now go through all the different banks of samples. I can hold 1,024 samples per bank as well. Per project, I should say. So it is limited. Unlimited, I should say.
How long have you had one of these yourself?
The day it came out.
So how long ago is it?
Was it a month? Was it
Okay,
about a month? Yeah.
Right.
It's
so like with the previous one then, like with projects, when you work on something, do you like keep a project from a gig or from a, how do you approach?
So I'm an improviser, so I don't save anything as such. So when I fill my boxes, I fill them with lots of different patterns. I don't use them in a prescribed way. So I don't say, oh, sequence 1 from here has to go with sequence 1 over here and sequence 1 over here. I see, again, I see this is my instrument and these are modules in my instrument. So they're all as important and they all have different tasks, I guess, but I could jam towards a single box at any time whilst I'm performing. And performing in front of an audience or performing in my studio is exactly the same thing. I'm just privileged to be able to grab different boxes in the studio, whereas here I've come from Australia, so I've only been able to grab a certain amount of gear. And I should also say the mixer is also key to what I do as well. The mixer is key because it is kind of like the central, it's not a controller, but it's where all the sounds are being mixed, but it becomes my instrument as well. So I'm an endorsee of Model 1. This is the one that Richie Horton created with Alan Digby Jones from Alan and Heath. And this is part of my instrument. This becomes an instrument as well. So it is a DJ mixer. I swore 30 years I would never buy a DJ mixer because I'm not a DJ. I perform live electronic music, and truly live because it's always improvised. So this is very important for me to craft sounds and rhythms. Remember, removing a kick drum, right, is part of an arrangement as well. Yeah, they call it the drop and what have you. So it's always the small things that are important. That was a pretty lackluster, end, wasn't it? But limitation is key. So this doesn't have effects or anything like that. I have one effects unit. These boxes all have their own effects as well. And at any time I'll access, and if you stick around, you'll see what I do. Show the mixer, sorry. If we can show the mixer. So can we see all that there? Okay, and the reason I like this is because it has 2 filters and 1 band EQ as well. And everything is kind of hands-on. If I play, let me show you, let's go back to, thank you. Where it comes into play, here's a little preview of what I'm going to do later. Good idea if I plug this in so you can hear this, right? Okay, so that's what I'll do for like an hour and smash your head against a brick wall and all that, at 11 o'clock. But that's kind of what I do, and that's an insight to how the mixer becomes, central to what I do. It's really important. So you could almost say in one regard, it doesn't matter what's connected to it. Yeah, it's my connection, the physiology. So this all comes from a place called Jamaica and Jamaican dub. Right? So it was the Jamaican dub producers who had to use the same rhythms and tracks over and over again. And the way they could do that is through a mixer. You know? So the mixer is important to like a dub approach, which is you know, ubiquitous across all forms of electronic dance music or electronic music or any form of music. Because there's no such thing as non-electronic music. It doesn't exist. Unless you're standing in front of someone playing an acoustic instrument, you're hearing it electronically, yeah? So that's why I love this mixer.
Is that 6 channels?
That is 6 channels.
And you don't find that limiting?
Not at all. I've had 32, 48 channels in my studio, but I have to have every single channel because every single sound, if my mum hears the hi-hat the wrong way, she's going to hurt me, you know. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. No one gives a fuck because we are hearing the sum of all its parts, you know. Seriously, it's like, and I've even gone back to, I don't even stem it out anymore. I actually just record 2-track because, you know, our ears can only make up about, 4 sounds at any one time, you know? We may be making that sound out of composite, you know, lots of different sources, of course. But really, dance music is supposed to be fun, F-U-N, yeah? It's about dancing and experiencing it. No one cares if you've got, you know, brand X with, you know, quadruple bits, you know. Of course, there's lots of great gear, and you know this is a big part. I don't want to contradict, but it's a big part of how we make and what we do. But really, most people don't know what you're using, and that's it. All right, shut up. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So stick around, and you know.
All right. Thank you, Honeysmack.
Thank you.
Lovely presentation. Yeah. We've gone over an hour on this demo. It's been
really
intense. We've learned the machine really well. It's time for some music, I guess. Thank you all for coming. Heaps of people.
Well, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet.
Don't leave yet. The music is about to get started. So the first act for tonight will be Slow Attack. She's born and bred, I would like to say. And he's been in Auckland for a while, but he's the first artist to come up with many after, yeah. So enjoy the music, have a couple of drinks. There's some freebies around on the bar. Just feel free to grab anything. It's animal pins, stickers, cable tie wraps, whatever. Yeah, go ahead, grab it, take it home. Yeah, I don't want to take it back on the plane. Enjoy the night. Bye.